Hey everyone, my name is Rodney and welcome to my follow-up interview on student stress, time management, and overall wellness and mental health. In our original project, we interviewed 3 different students with unique lifestyles: a student athlete, a full-time student who also works full-time, and a full-time online student. Each of them opened up about the challenges they face and how they manage their time, what they do to take care of their mental health and overall well-being. Today, I'm joined by Gloria, who participated in all 3 interviews, and McKenna, who not only participated in all 3, but was one of the students we interviewed. We're going to reflect on what stood out, what we learned, and how those stories are connected to the bigger picture of student wellness and college life. Thanks for being here, Gloria and McKenna. Let's get started. What stood out to you most from the interviews with the student athlete, the working student, and the online student?
Yeah, so Grace, who was our student athlete, I really liked how she talked about how student athletes generally struggle with a lot of mental health and wellness issues that are just now being talked about a lot. So one of them she mentioned was a struggle with body image, especially looking fit and eating enough to fuel themselves while still being in this societal norm of what an athletic body should look like. She also talked about stress management and sleep and nutrition. And for McKenna, she talked about how being a fully online student sometimes makes her feel isolated and lonely, but she supplements that isolation with spending her weekends and her free time socializing with friends and family. And finally, Nayamit, what stood out to me most about her was her time management. It flowed really well because she worked in healthcare. This allowed her work to be on certain days and then her school to be on certain days. So she works long shifts, but for like 2 to 3 days. And then that allowed the rest of her week to be focused on school. So that was my big takeaways from each of the interviews.
That really highlights how much more support student athletes need beyond just training and competition. How did a student's approach to time management influence their mental health and overall wellness?
So I really admired how well McKenna managed her time. She was our fully online student. She was super intentional about structuring her weekdays efficiently so that she could leave her weekends free. That strategy made a noticeable difference in her mental health. By getting her work done during the week, she gave herself some space to step away from school responsibilities and the isolation that often comes with being an online student. Instead of being stuck behind a screen all the time, like online students are, she used her weekends to prioritize in-person relationships and activities. And these things are essential for maintaining a sense of connection and balance, because if you're all alone all the time, it is really not good for your mental health. It's a powerful reminder that mental health isn't just about coping when you're stressed, but it's about actively building routines that protect your energy. They also foster real world connections, and they give you time to recharge. I think McKenna's approach showed how much a little intentional planning, like scheduling her weekends to be free, can really impact your overall well-being, especially for students who might feel otherwise isolated.
Yes, that's a really great example of how being intentional with your time can really create a space for better mental health and connection. McKenna, which student did you personally relate to more and why?
I personally related the most to Naomi and her experiences with being a student and a full-time employee. I also work a full-time job alongside my courses, so I noticed that we had a lot of similarities when it came to leaving time in our schedules for hobbies and socializing to avoid burnout and the overall mental stress. We both prioritize this pretty heavily, and that's what we attribute our mental clarity to.
It's pretty powerful when you see your own experiences reflected in someone else's story. It really shows how common those challenges are.
Yeah, I agree.
How does social support like friends, family, teammates, professors, or coworkers play a role in that student's mental well-being?
We heard from each student that how they spoke about how grateful they were for their unique support systems and their ability to calm them down from stressful situations, ease their minds, and bring them back down to earth in a way. Hearing these students share their experiences really put an emphasis on how important it is to have that group of people you can count on and lean on during such a trying period in your life, like college years.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It's a great reminder that having even a small support system can make a huge difference in managing stress and staying grounded. Were there any tools, apps, or habits mentioned that you might consider trying yourself?
So for me, I know that Grace mentioned how important nutrition and more specifically sleep were to overall health, overall wellness in general. And I think it is so important. According to the National Library of Medicine, studies show that poor sleep is super common among college students, as everyone knows, but it's not just about feeling tired. There's a strong two-way link between bad sleep and depression. It's actually called sleep depression. Lack of quality sleep can make mental health much worse. And if you're already struggling with depression, your sleep can suffer too. Prioritizing good sleep habits isn't just nice to have. It's actually crucial for protecting your overall mental health during college and life.
It's amazing how much something as basic as sleep and nutrition can impact not just our physical health, but our mental well-being too.
Definitely. It's something that people don't prioritize as much as they should.
Do you think that challenges faced by student athletes, working students, and online learners are discussed enough in college settings? Why or why not?
Yeah, so we actually discussed this a lot with Grace, and I think while they do a good job offering mental health resources. The unique challenges faced by student athletes, working students, and online students aren't always talked about enough within students. I think that the colleges do have these programs set up, but I don't think that students take advantage of them as much as they should. These students juggle a lot. They balance their coursework, jobs, sports, and they sometimes feel disconnected from campus life, which can seriously impact their mental health.
And what's really cool is at Miami University Regionals, they actually do a strong job addressing this. Their wellness offerings are pretty broad. They provide counseling services, wellness coaching, workshops, and flexible support that fits around the different schedules that students have. This is huge, especially for regional campus students who might be commuting, working, or learning online, as it shows that they understand that one size fits all support doesn't work. And they're really trying to meet students where they are.
Did any of the interviews make you reflect on your own habits or mindset towards stress and time management?
Yes, so I kind of touched on this earlier, but I am an online student myself, and I have found myself feeling very isolated. However, implementing certain strategies like scheduling specific socializing times, like in the weekends or evenings, like McKenna was saying, where I can see family and friends and participate in sports and other hobbies that I find like fuel me and help me feel rejuvenated. And they kind of replicate that in-person learning environment that a fully online student is missing. But oftentimes I have to force myself to get out of my house and study or finish assignments when I feel myself getting lonely or start to feel isolated. And that has always helped me deal with the potential mental downsides of fully learning online.
Well, it's great that you found ways to counterbalance isolation with intentional socializing and activities. It really shows the importance of creating a routine that supports your mental health. I have one final question. How important do you think flexibility is in a student's schedule? And did that come across in all three interviews?
Absolutely. Based on our interview findings, flexibility in a student's schedule is essential for mental health and overall wellness. It can make the difference between a balanced and healthy academic life and one filled with stress and burnout. It allows for alone time and time to focus on hobbies that allow your brain a break from all of the noise.
I completely agree. Flexibility gives students that space they need to recharge and maintain a healthier, more sustainable balance between school and life. That brings us to the end of our discussion. I just want to say thank you again to Gloria for sharing her reflections and to McKenna for being both an interviewee and part of this follow-up conversation. Hearing these different student experiences really shows how important it is to talk openly about stress, time management, and overall wellness, because everyone's juggling something, even if it looks different. According to a 2024 U.S. News and World Report survey, about 70% of students nationwide have struggled with mental health since starting college. Mental health is now the number one reason students drop out, based on the Gallup-Lumina Foundation's State of Higher Education 2024 report. Meanwhile, a Timely Care survey found that 64% of students said they are more likely to graduate if they have access to mental health resources. And 75% of students who used virtual mental health services reported improvement in their well-being, including 100% of those at potential risk for suicide. This just shows how critical it is to have a real conversation, supportive services, and accessible resources for all students. Thanks again for tuning in, and take care of yourselves.